this on hold here. And to buy supplies. Before traveling, he converts, right? You want to convert 500 Canadian into American dollars, okay, for personal expenses. So they're telling you which way is this money being converted to. You're going from Canadian to American, right? And then they have to tell you this. 1 Canadian dollar is worth that much US. Okay? So I'll summarize it here. You're going from Canadian dollars to US dollars. Okay? That's the main idea here. And you're asking, right, how many American dollars can you get for 500 Canadian? Okay. All right. So let's see what we do here. You start with the fact. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fact. And you always start with the fact. So I'll make it nice and big so you can see it. 1 Canadian, that's how I differentiate between Canadian and the US, because dollars, you don't want to have dollars because then they're both dollars, right? 1 Canadian is 0.94192 US. You start with the fact, okay? So I'm going to bring this over here and just say, I'm going to state it as a fraction, okay? And then I'm going to go, that is equal to, the question will give you one of these. It will either give you Canadian dollars or it will give you US dollars. In this case, it's 500 Canadian. It shows up twice. It's 500 Canadian that we want to convert to US dollars, okay? So this should be, the 500 will go up top because Canadian is up top. That's the important thing. It doesn't matter if you put the US on top and Canadian at the bottom on this side, as long as you match it on the other side, okay? There you go. So we put an X there for US dollars. Now we're going to find out how many US dollars we can get for that. And you can cross multiply here, right? You always multiply diagonally and you divide by what's left over, and it's just 1. So it'd be 500 times 0.94192. And let's do the divided by 1 so we just don't forget that that is the step, right? And just move this further down a bit. $470.96 US, okay? So in a sense, this is how much US dollars, right, you get for 500 Canadian. That's basically what you just found. You're going to get less. So basically, what that is also telling us is that their currency is worth more than ours, right? They would only need 470 of theirs to get 500 of ours, right? So write that down. Yeah, actually, Benedict, you are right. He asks, wouldn't it be USD? Yes, you can do that. I agree. I think that most currency places would have USD, yes. I honestly, I'm not going to be too picky with that, as long as you differentiate between the two currencies somehow. If you wanted to write down US dollars next to it, that's fine with me. But you have a point. Yes, I think it's USD. Yeah. US dollars. Yeah. I'll give you a little note down here. One Canadian is less, sorry, is less than, right, one the other if one Canadian is less than one of the other currency, then the other currency is worth more. So if you have one Canadian and you have 0.025, or you have one Canadian and 1.25, right? In this case, right, other is worth more, and in this case, Canadian is worth more. So if this value is less, then theirs is worth more. If this value is greater, then ours is worth more. Might be a little counterintuitive, but it is. Okay, and if you ever miss a lesson, just go back to Google Classroom under classwork, and usually I post it there right after class. Takes a few minutes to process for YouTube to process the video, but then it's there. Are we good? Okay, back page. Let's do some examples here. So currency exchange is actually not that bad if you just stick to the basic setup, right? It is gonna be guaranteed something like this. That I can guarantee you that if it's a currency exchange, you're gonna have proportions, okay? The first one will be given to you. You just have to copy it down. And on the right side, only one of those numbers will be provided to you. Okay? So Ray purchased 500 goods, that 500 again, 500 Canadian of parts from Hungary, okay, for the use in his garage. If the exchange rate is 1 Canadian, there is that fact, 1 Canadian to 1 something forints, right? How many forints will you receive for 500 Canadian? So This one will be together, okay? This one will be close together. So 1 Canadian, okay, 1 Canadian dollar is 180 point, and they use all decimal, like 4 decimals, because if you don't, you lose a lot of money if you exchange it, okay? And we just call it FT, okay? Use what they give you, okay? And on this side, the 500, which shows up twice, it's Canadian, so obviously it's going to match whatever's on the other side. So you set it up like that. Okay, so this is what cross multiplies. It won't always be divided by 1, by the way. So just stick to what you know, and you know how to do this, right? So when you multiply those two, you get 90,038.95 forints. Oops, supposed to be a T there. Okay, so there it is. So which one is higher, right? If this is worth more than 1, right? Then you know that Canadian has higher value. Okay, Canadian has a higher value. Right? If one Canadian dollar is worth this many British pounds, so there's that fact again. That's the currency exchange. Right? Calculate how many pounds would you get for 200 Canadian. So set it up again. 0.5911, and whatever that symbol is, I'm going to try to copy it as best as I can. Okay, I'm using the symbol for the currency, which is going to be provided to you most of the time. And the 200 is Canadian, so of course you're going to put that up top, and this is your unknown. You cross multiply again like that. So this would give you 118.22. If you just want to write down pounds, that's fine with me, but that's what you're getting. And notice that, right, if the other one is worth less than 1, then the other one is worth more, right? Other worth more, okay? The other one is worth more because of that. So now it's been probably for sure 10 years that the US has been worth more than ours, but there was a time where it was the other way around, and a lot of Canadians went down shopping to the States because they have cheaper prices to begin with, and now your money is worth more than theirs. Well, let's go, right? Let's take advantage of that. On top of that, they have less taxes. A lot of the states have less taxes than we do, so it was a lot of savings that you could take advantage of. Okay. Try this one on your own. Okay. So this one, do this right now, and then I'll do it right after. Okay. So take a few minutes. Okay, Carter, I got you down. We are on page 60, Carter. All right, so here we go. Let's correct it. Highlighter. Okay. You're attending a trade show in Denmark. She runs a short spending money, must convert 100 Canadian. So I'm going to highlight that to kroner, right? The exchange rate is this for 1 Canadian dollar. So that's the fact. They flipped it on us, right? They used to say 1 Canadian is this much of theirs, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. So this is what I start with. I always like to have Canadian dollar up top, but it doesn't matter. What is it? KR. Okay. So the 100 Canadian will go here. This will be my unknown. And you cross multiply and you get 535. You get 535.41 KR. So make sure, I'm going to be picky on the units, okay? So even if you write it out like Danish kroner instead of KR, I'm fine with that, as long as you tell me that it's different, right? What have you found, okay? All right, so let's go to, I'm going to get you to work in a bit. And I'll just do one more example where things are going to be a little different, right? It's not going to look the same as we've done so far, but it's in essence, it's the same. So we go to page 61, okay? So there's going to be a few lined pages. Just skip those for now. They'll probably stay like that. I just insert them sometimes to give you extra notes. Okay, so here we have that. One Thai baht is worth that much Canadian. So that's a fact. How many bahts would a tourist in Thailand receive for 200 Canadian? So they give you what you start your proportion with, and then they give you one number that goes on the other side. So because they're wording it like that, I will just go with that, okay? I will actually say that 1 baht is Canadian. Just to show you that it works like this as well. So this replaced right there. And what they give you is that there's 200 Canadian dollars at play. So because Canadian dollars are in the denominator on this side, we put the 200 Canadian on this side. And so this is our unknown, which is going to be bahts, right? So cross multiply and divide. So here you multiply this way and you divide by what's left over. So it's essentially this. So this gives you 8495.82 baht. So that's how currency exchange. I have to say this, okay? The way we're doing it is a little too simple. It's simplified. It's not exactly what happens in real life. I just have to tell you that in real life, you lose a little bit of money every time you exchange. So let's say you want to travel to Thailand and you convert your 200 bucks to bahts, and then you cancel your trip. It's like, oh shoot, what do I do with this currency that I now have? If you want to convert it back to Canadian, you would not get $200. You would probably get I'm just estimating 190 or something. You will have lost money because every time you exchange, the bank or whoever does that earns a little bit of money. That's how they make money, buying and selling the currency. Okay, so we don't deal with that here. I just want to let you know that you can't just exchange every which way and think you're going to have the same money. It's not the case. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get you to work on 4, 2, so 4, 5, 6. Let me just check here. 7 and 8. Okay, so they're all good and they're all fairly easy to do. So it goes all the way to 10. Okay, 4 to 10 due now. And this is going to be the last little bit that we do in this unit. Okay, after which we're going to review and then we're going to have a little quiz at the end, which is going to be a mixture of some online, like some of you are going to do it online, some of you are going to do it here. Okay, so 4 to 10, do it now. So questions 4 to 10, just keep going. It goes over a couple of pages, and then we'll wrap it up towards the end. Okay, so we've got half an hour left. That's what we're doing. Just stay online though. I will have some closing comments. And that's it for now. I'm just going to check who joined because the number has gone up. Isabella, are you there? Brown rig? Tyrell Capuno, are you there by any chance? Yeah, I'll go over them, Francis. Yeah. Tyrell, are you there? No? Mason, are you there? Sarmiento? Yeah. Ty Sweeney? Okay, there's Isabella. So let's start with question 4 on 61, right? 1 Canadian is worth 0.7180 euros, and therefore 300 Canadian would be worth X number of dollars. You show me your work, right? Cross multiply here. 7180 divided by 1, and that is 215.40 euros. Okay. Final answer. Here it says that it's worded differently, right? It doesn't say a Canadian dollar to Swiss franc is, so it's still saying the same thing as before, just slightly different format. Okay, so you set it up like this. we're talking 400 Canadian. And you know how to do the work, right? So I will just give you the answer here just for the sake of time, right? So you would cross multiply here and get that as your final answer. Number 6, 1 Canadian. Yeah, this is where I wanted to. The rate for converting the Canadian to the Trinidad and Tobago dollar is that. So it's still 1 Canadian is this much of, I don't know what we're going to call this, TMB. Okay. Oh, sorry. Trinidad and Tobago there, TNT. Right. And over here you have 200 Canadian. This is your X. You go 200 times 6.1805 divided by 1. You get 1236.10 TNT. Right? So there you have that. Seven, next page. So this one, they tell you the exchange rate, and every time it's $200 that you're converting, 200 Canadian, right? So here it's 345.81. So 1742.27 dirhams, right? And I'm not doing the work, but I would expect that from you. I've done it enough. 72277 of that. 200 Canadian there. So this is 1544.55 of that currency. I'll go a little faster here. 1 Canadian is 3.19889. This one I actually didn't do yet. And 8, calculate the value in Canadian dollars of an item that costs this much Singapore dollars. Assume the exchange rate of 1 Canadian dollar is this. So it's also worded differently, right? So 1 Canadian is 0.75529 Singapore. Okay. And where would the 449.75 go? It would go with the Singapore dollars, right? So this is 449.75. And so in this case, you multiply up this way times 1 divided by 0.75529. And that is 595.47 what? You found Canadian dollars, right? So it'd be that many Canadian dollars. Try to wrap it up. We're at question 8 here. So I'm going to go to 9. I'm recording this, so if you miss anything, if I go a little too fast, just go back, right? Skip to the end. Okay. Henry returns from a whale cove in Nunavut after a trip to Europe. On his travels, he purchased a jacket. Calculate Henry's jacket in Canadian dollars. Assume that a euro is worth this much of a Canadian dollar. So here you have to be careful. 1 euro is 1.3987 Canadian. This is stated differently here. It's very clear in the wording, right? So the 125.98 goes at the top because that's where we put the other one. So what we're going to find is the Canadian dollars, right? So here you multiply up like that. Divided by 1, right? Even though it's irrelevant. $176.21 Canadian. One more, last one. The exchange rate between the South African rand and the Canadian dollar is this. So 1 rand, so go 1 rand. They're polite, they're nice enough to tell us exactly how we're supposed to put that, right? What is the cost in Canadian dollars of an item priced 639 rand? So the 639 would go here, and that would be your X. And here you cross multiply that way, so 639 times 1 divided by that. And you get 4,614.75. Oof. Sorry, guys. That's what I get for rushing. Did you catch it? This is rand. I have rand up top. So this is wrong. And it's also on record. It's been recorded, right? Sorry, guys. I'll tell you what the answer is tomorrow. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.